All right, hello everybody. Welcome to Monday Watercolor class, remote. We're going to do things a little different today rather than having all getting together for our class. With all this coronavirus stuff that's going on, we're just going to start doing some remote work for a while, and hopefully this will work out well for us. So here we go. We're going to be working today on a couple of marbles in this painting here. We had talked about that a few weeks ago, maybe doing that in class. So we're gonna try these. Just pretty basic cat's eye marble. Notice the highlights on here. There's about 4 or 5 on this one and 4 on this back marble. So what I've done, I've laid out a simple drawing capturing the cat eye effect inside of the marbles, and then I've taken masking fluid. And I know it's probably a little hard to see right now, but I'm going to try to zoom in on the painting when I actually get to painting so you can see better. But wherever those little highlights are at on the marbles, I'll get a little closer for you. Wherever you see those highlights, I put some masking fluid in about that same location on here. So what I want you to do is get it sketched out like this, and then get your masking fluid on, get it dry, and we'll get to painting, okay? See you in just a bit. Okay, we are back. Right now I'm out of the picture, which is good. You won't have to look at me. You can look at the blank paper that I've got right here. Hopefully you can see the sketch a little bit better. I'm going to get my reference photo back up. Here we go, right here. So it's got kind of a bluish background to it. What I'll call it a cool background. And the marbles are warm orange. So I'm going to start out with those two colors there. And I want to take and just grab some water and just kind of wet my surface down. Just like this, not get too carried away. And as I'm painting this, feel free to stop the video if you missed something, back it up and take another look at it. That's one of the good things about this process. So I've got some cobalt blue here that I've mixed up. And I'm just going to kind of lay that in, kind of give me that cool effect in the background. Along the lines of that. And I'm just going over everything, over the marbles and the shadows. Oop, there's a chunk of something that was in my palette. What's good about live TV? There's another chunk of it. I don't know what that is. But anyway, just kind of feel the picture and enjoy it. See what I did there is not good. That's bad for the instructor to do that. So I can scrub that out of there. Okay, so I've got the blue in there. You can see, and it's kind of just got a nice organic feel. So I'm going to clean my brush out here and grab me some orange, some Core Transparent Pyrrole Orange. And I'm just going to start right here and just kind of pop that in. Let it go ahead and bleed around. And if you notice, it comes out looking right in there. You can see that orange goes out into the shadow area. So let's go ahead and do that. Not be afraid of getting a little bit of bleeding over. That, okay, and now I'm going to come back in on the main marble, this big one, and just while it's nice and wet, putting that orange in there. Not overly, the paint on my brush is not overly moist, I'll put it that way, so it doesn't bleed too far. And there's a little clear spot in the marble over here that I'm trying to retain, so I'm working on that a little bit. But don't get too concerned if it bleeds on you, it runs on you. That's not a biggie. Don't worry about it. There's kind of an orange feel right there. And come out here. And again, just laying this in nice and wet. I do want to try to keep my shadow edges nice and sharp. They are important, I think, to you can see the shadow over here. It's just the way I photographed this, but the shadow, I intentionally got the softer edges and stuff out here, so let me zoom back in on that. There we go. I'm just kind of trying to capture a little bit of that. Okay, so I think that's a pretty good start, and I'm going to stop there, let you get caught up to this. So wet the paper. You can leave a few skips in it if you want a few dry areas, that's okay. Wet the paper. Cobalt blue in the background, basically over almost everything. Once you put that on, you'll start to see your little highlights pop out. Then while that's nice and wet, come in with some medium moist core transparent pyrrole orange and just start dropping it in there. Let it bleed. Try to control it so you don't lose. So, okay, so like these clear areas in the marble, so you don't lose those, okay? But beyond that, just have some fun with it. We'll come back in, we'll start developing the values and the shapes that are in there, try to make it something exciting, okay? So you do this, I'll be back to check on you in just a couple of minutes. Okay, hopefully everybody is caught up to where I'm at in this painting here. We got the first wash in. You can kind of see the marble starting to take shape in the tones. Yeah, there is some bleeding, and but that's going to be fine. Nobody's going to notice that. And I'm going to intentionally try to keep my hands back because I see the white balance is kind of messing up a little bit there. So I got a few bugs to work out, but we'll get them figured out. So I want to do the next step, and I think the next step now is just going to be focusing on the back marble there. And if we look in the photograph here, zoom in on it, I'm gonna paint the darker areas of the marble and develop the shadow a little bit more. And so that's going to be my focus for the next few minutes on this. So I'm going to grab me a brush here, grab me some of that orange, and this is pretty well. First of all, it's the same colors, the core transparent pyrrole orange, and then I got cobalt blue. But right now I've just got the orange, and I'm going to come in and just based on what I see here in this photograph, I'm going to come in and paint that in. And I'll keep developing the shapes and bringing the values in deeper and deeper. But I'm going to leave this light area here. I'm going to leave that as is, because that will be my brightest area. So you can see there's a lighter kind of a worm shape or whatever right there. So that's what I'm putting in right now. Still just using pure orange. I might change that here in a little bit. But right now I'm focusing on getting my values in there. Already starting to look like a marble with those highlights popping out. Okay, so then I'll come down here, grab me some more orange, and go just like that. Again, I'm working on the shapes, getting just developing them. Not necessarily all the values right now, just the shapes and getting some colors in there. So I'm going to carry that down into the shadow area because there's a lot of orange in that shadow. And you can see my drawing is not quite right, so I'm just going to resketch it with the brush. Don't be afraid to do that. Something like that. Okay, so when you look at that, that's really starting to come together. And I'm going to grab a little bit of alizarin crimson here just to try to get some of this dark feeling going on in there. Just a little bit, not a lot. And while this is still wet up here, I'll put a little bit of that around. That'll add a little more interest to it. Okay, so one other thing I want to do, I'm going to get some cobalt blue and some of that orange. The orange with the blue will make a gray, so I'm going to add more orange to lean it towards the orange side. Get a little more orange going in it. I don't want it to look brown, I want it to look an appropriate shadowy color. So I got to be cautious with that. But yeah, that's pretty good. this is going to get darker. Elements of that will get darker, and you'll be able to see that that it's going to work out. All right. So I'm going to straighten this shadow out just a little bit, and then I'm going to turn you loose to do something like that right there. Okay? All right, time to get going again. So we've got the back marble, got 30% of it painted. We're just kind of getting the feel, trying to get things developed here. So now some painters would go ahead and just finish out that marble back there, and that would be fine if that's the way they work. But I like to kind of develop the whole painting as I go. So the next thing I want to do then, if you can see it, is go up here and get the oranges put into this closest marble, and again pull those colors down into the shadow. So I'm going to work up in here, get these shapes, and then pull that into the shadow. So here we go. Got a round, I don't know what size that is, just medium round brush. Grabbing some pyrrole orange, and I'm just going to try to lay this in kind of loose here, because I see several things going on that I like. And I want to keep this hard edge right over here. A little more water, a little more paint. Again, hanging on to this hard edge. Make a nice curve there. And don't be afraid to jazz it up, pop a little bright color in here and there. Make it exciting if you can. Okay, got a hard edge over here. I think everybody can see that. And I realize my hand keeps getting in the way, and I'm trying very hard to keep it down low. As I do more of these, I'll figure out a way where I can get the iPad where it's not picking that up my hand. And I'll get the lighting better, and I'll get all that stuff better. Okay, I'm just going to throw a little bit of blue in here because I see it showing up in there. And I think it adds a nice touch. Okay. The key is you want to be able to see through this marble, so you got to have some transparency going on. That's just the way it's going to have to be to make it work. So you put your lightest lights in, like right here and there. I see some really nice lights, and I can paint around them to preserve them here in a little bit. Okay, so now this up here, if you notice, this kind of gets soft. So that's what I'm trying to do there. But our marble's coming along nicely. Get this shape developed down here. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to work to bring this dark around here. It's a process, and take your time doing it. Notice right down here there's a highlight bounces off that bluish white background. So there should be a V shape of light right in there. So try to hang on to that if you can. And then if you look right here, see there's a real like a prism effect where the light's coming through. That's the lighter area. I think I'm going to try to just kind of paint around that. I don't have it sketched out on here, but I'm going to go with the value I've got right now. I may change my mind, but I'm just going to try to capture that. So again, pulling those marble colors out into the shadow area here. And I'll pick up a little bit of blue. Kind of like that. Add a little bit of interest to it. Again, hang on to those hard edges for most of the shadow. You're going to see me do something here in a minute that will seemingly contradict that, but it's not a contradiction. I would never do that to you. Not more than once. Okay, yeah, just trying to get this covered fast because I don't want this video to be overly long. I should have a larger brush. Note to self, third note to self for the next video. Get organized a little better. But what can you do when life throws you a lemon? You make a lemonade, right? Okay, so there's that, and I just want to grab my big flat brush here, and I want to kind of pull some of this out because there's, if you look in the photo, you will see that there's a carrying out of that darker area a little bit, and I'm just going to get a little bit of that effect going in here. Okay, yeah, I like that. I'm cool with that. Down with that, as they say. Okay, so I could go in here. Let me grab a little more blue, just see what I can do here. It might be best to do it while it's damp. Just kind of taking these shapes a step farther. It's best to do this while it's wet like that because it softens up and gives you some nicer effects. Need to make any corrections like that right there? Now's the time to do them. Now is the time to do them. And that's going to carry on down into the shadow area. Okay, so there's a pretty good start on that marble. I'm going to fuzz this out, soften this edge here just a little dab. That one's pretty good shape up there. So, okay, so that's where I'm going to stop this portion of it. So go ahead and just understand those shapes, the light areas. Go ahead and develop them, and just take your time and enjoy it. Remember, we're having fun. This shouldn't be stressful. If it is, you need to take a deep breath, back off, and take another run at it. Welcome back. I hope everything has gone the way you planned on it to go. And so I want to take us now to the next step here. And I'm going to be working on this back marble again, developing these darks right in here, up around there, and then that shadow. And we'll see how that turns out. So I'm going to grab some more of that transparent pyrrole orange. And make sure you're using Core, not some other brand, because in my humble opinion, the other brands just don't have the vibrancy, and that is very important, particularly in a picture like this right here. So I just want to mix up a 50% moisture, I guess, for the watercolor down here on my palette. That means it's not overly wet, but it's got enough moisture, it's going to stay wet for a little while. So I've taken the Core, added a little bit of alizarin crimson to it, and a little bit of the cobalt blue. 3 colors in this picture that I've been using so far. And you can see it keeps it pretty simple. Get those darks built in there. Work it pretty fast too. Don't get caught up putzing around with it. Just get in there and get it done. I'm going to grab a little bit of blue and just throw it in up here to intensify my values a little bit. There we go. Keeping that light area right there in the marble. Stay happy. Keep painting. Make any corrections to that shadow you want to. Just reshape it if you need to. Alright, now I'm going to grab a little bit of alizarin crimson and just kind of feeling my way through this as I drop this in here. Okay, it's going to darken it, it's going to redden it, and then I'm going to put some blue in with it, and that'll give it a violet cast. Same blue, it should gray it and make it more of a violet for me. Look how that runs in there. That's exactly what I'm wanting. Just like so. There we go. That kind of gives the effect of the light coming through. Oh, got to be careful here. Got to be careful. Look at that. If you're new to watercolor, this is important there. You got to watch those runs. They'll try to get you. Okay, so I've got a blotter here that I've made, and I'm taking my brush after I rinse it, and I'll blot out a little bit. I'm going to take that damp brush and pull some of these colors out like so. So that helps to give that effect of the light passing through. And when I'm painting by myself, I would normally maybe take some different approaches because I could pile more on basically, but when I'm trying to do a demonstration and I'm wanting people to understand what I'm doing, I kind of slow it down a little bit. I'm going to put a little bit of dark around this little worm shape that I talked about earlier. Just kind of get a little more interest going in that marble. See, that's helping quite a bit right there, I think. Trying to run on me there. Yeah, I'm gonna come back and add a little more, but I think it needs to dry just a little bit. Having fun with it, having fun. And something else I see. This right there is almost looking white now, so I'm gonna end up glazing over it here in a little bit. Glaze is another term where you apply one color over another dry color. See this right here? Getting that little run going on there. Trying to. We can come in and pull a little bit more of that out. Get a little more of that effect. Come that way with it. So when that gets drier, I'll come back in and put that very dark in under the shadow there, under the marble. You see that darkness? What's happening, you got 2 or 3 light sources coming down, and that's why you've got the darkest shadow. Okay, so while that's drying, I'm going to jump over into the marble here, the other marble, the front one, and see what I need to do there. Gonna basically probably do about the same thing, same colors. So we've got this dark spot here. And all the way around this is dark. All the way up there. It is really, when you look at it, it's pretty dark. Having fun. Now I picked up a little bit of a phthalo blue here to give me that rich dark that I'm looking for. Phthalo blue and that transparent pyrrole orange is what you're seeing right there. And it makes that glow right in there. And I'm going to grab some more orange and come right down. You know, you don't have to be perfect with this. I tend to get paint that away, and I shouldn't. So, don't always do as I do or say, however that saying goes. Do what works right for you. Okay, a little bit of the phthalo blue here. Kept that little light area there, that's good. And at any point I can come back in and kick in a little more phthalo blue to intensify that. Same way back over here. If I want that darker, go ahead and put her in. Take your time and study what this marble really looks like. You can see it's just soft transitions. You don't have to get all of them in there, but you want to get enough of them to kind of tell the story. It does, you know, more is less or less is more, however they say that. But at the same time, you need enough information there to get the feeling of it out. So that's some red I've thrown in there. And I'm going to just take a clean damp brush here and soften that edge there. And then I see there's a little darker area right in there. A little more orange. If I was going to give you a synopsis on painting, I'd say there's no shortcuts really. You got to take time and do it right. And so that's what I'm trying to do. Soften that a little. Some of this dark. go with that. Okay, and then going for this blue, because what I'm seeing over here on this side is blue. Keep it simple, student. Keep it simple, student. Okay, that's the secondary shadow. And I'm going to try to pop a little bit of that dark in up here just to tie everything together and give me some good drama going in this. A little something happening right in there that we want to try to get. And I look at the photo and I see all the way around this marble there, around the sphere, there's a dark lip to it. It actually leans towards blue in many places, blues and violets. So adding a little bit of that. I like it, it's coming along. Get a little more blue going on up here. And you can take your brush and clean up the edges. I think it needs to be rounder here, there, wherever. Kind of cleaning up the edge of that sphere. There we go. I really like that blue going on in there. But I think we need a little bit more of that over here. So I'm just gonna, it's kind of dry brush. It's maybe a little bit wet, the under surface, but not super wet. So okay. Take a little more blue right in here. And this is that phthalo blue, so you can see how vibrant that is. And that just adds some nice color to it. Okay, so I'm going to go back into this distant marble back here now. Get the shadow in there. Just like that. Put a little more dark up under here just to give some drama. Okay, I'm going to stop for right now, give you time to get caught up, and then we'll be back and finish out the shadows and the final darks and things like that. So have a good time with it, and I'll see you in just a little bit. All right, we're back. And I hope everything's going the way you want it to and turning out good for you. So as I'm looking at this, where it's lacking a few things, this shadow down here and up here needs to be quite a bit darker, at least in my opinion. And then that I probably need to offset the value of that with some darks up in here maybe. Every watercolor is different. It's just they don't all work out, but you muddle your way through it, and sometimes you get something really nice, and other times you go, what happened there? So there's just no formula that works for everything. So I just work my way through them, try to think my way through them, and usually you get a result that you're happy with. I'll put it that way. So for right now, I want to work on getting this darker, this shadow underneath them, the cast shadow. So I'm taking some cobalt, some alizarin, and some of that orange, and I'm wanting to get it to lean it towards a violet. And so I'll keep mixing with the colors here till I get something that I can work with. There we go. That looks pretty good. So, all right. I'm going to start right here. And I just want to lay that in real nice, real quick. I'm gonna mix up the colors in there, and by that I mean rather than just one plain gray, I'm gonna go with a variety in there. Whoop. I'm glad you got to see that happen, because that's really undesirable. And it'll let you know that it happens to the best of us. Okay, so you see that little bloom right there? The moisture that was up here trickled down into that and gave me that. Again, undesirable, but it happens. Don't push the panic button. Just live with it. There's that little spot I was talking about a while ago that I wanted to save. I'll probably soften those edges a little bit. So I was talking a minute ago about other colors. So I don't want drastic differences in this, but I want some variety. So I'm going to grab a little bit of that phthalo blue, because that'll have a strong impact in there. And just throw that up here around that edge. See that? It gives a nice effect. Because that's wet, it's still running down. So that's good. But it gives it some interest. So it's not just a blah, ugly looking shadow. Okay, now, remember when I first started this, I took and pulled out some of these colors here. So I'm just reinforcing that right now. And they don't even have to be representative of anything. You just let them be whatever they want to be. There we go. Yeah, I like that. That's good. Okay, take the same colors, and I'm going to go up here. And this is probably still wet, but I don't think it's wet enough to hurt anything. Still using my flat brush here. Taking care not to get too much moisture there, because remember how that ran down on me? That's kind of nice there, maybe. We'll see. Yep, there we go. Okay. So I'm liking that. I'm going to soften this just a little bit here. There's that. Pick up some orange and lay it right over this here. Kind of knock that down a little. And then you remember our trick. Take your brush, take your blotter, knock out the excess moisture, and then come right in here and pull out that little highlight. I don't know if you can see it on there, but there's a highlight in the photo. There's also a highlight right over here. It gets kind of complex because of all the sources of light in this. But if you can get all that stuff in there, it sure makes a difference for it. Okay. Okay, there's also a slight shadow right here. Okay. Now let me get some of those darks. Just that same color I had down here. I'm going to try to just kind of pop a little bit of this in. Not this at this stage of the painting, you can get kind of loose with it and fun, and keep it from getting tight on you. I'm just basically getting some darks in there that'll set it off and make it come to life. So give it some dimension. See there? A little bit right there. Yeah. It's coming together now. I took probably 200 pictures of marbles this morning before I settled on this one here. And I got to tell you, marbles and me just don't get along. I love playing with them, love throwing them around, but they are a challenge to get an interesting image of them. Okay, so real thin here. Just some blue along the edge out here. And it's what that is, just a subtle reflection of something around this marble. I don't even know what it is, it's just there. Same thing with that right there, just a subtle reflection I'm seeing in there, but it adds to it. And this is pretty well just pure phthalo. I mean, you could use cobalt if you wanted to. One of the main reasons I'm using phthalo is because I ran out of cobalt on my palette. Another thing that should not happen to an artist. Okay, just doing a little experiment and playing around here, trying to bring some excitement into this. Add a little warmth. Now I'll get a little bit of cool here. Cool with some blue. Put a little bit of red into it. I'm not talking because I'm concentrating. A little bleed going on there, but I'll live with it. Can't do much about it anyway. Spontaneity in watercolor is a good thing. See how rich that dark is? Phthalo blue, alizarin crimson. And it gives you almost a black. Pulling some of that rich dark up into that marble now. Not too many places though. I think you're getting the gist of what we're supposed to be doing and getting the hang of it. So I'm about to wrap this up. I got to take the masking fluid off and everything. You'll see the impact of that here in a little bit, but just have fun with this and make it your own. Make it your own. One other thing I'm thinking here, I'll take some of this blue, and I want to, this is a little too hard edged up in here, so I want to try and soften it up a little. Just like that. This is a little too vibrant right in here. You kind of see where I'm going with this, what I'm getting at here. And I hope you can see my brush work, how that comes into play. A little bit of just pure orange and popped in there. Make it a little exciting. Never done until it's done. Start out to think, oh, I have a 25-minute video for them to watch. It'll be simple and easy. And no, it's not. It becomes 45 minutes or an hour. And a bunch of steps. Look at there, trying to run on me. Go back in here. Darken that up. Okay. How much can you do with one of these, huh? You can do a whole lot. You can do more than you should, probably. And just to keep some excitement in here, I'm just throwing some more colors in. There's some orange. Look at that. Woo! Love that. See this little run trying to happen here. Get it picked up before it gets too bad. I told you about 4 or 5 minutes ago I was about done with this thing. Make a liar out of me. Like I told you 25 minutes ago, I needed to glaze over this right here too, because that was jumping out too much. So, okay, well, carried this about to fruition here. What I'm going to do is let it dry, pull the masking fluid off those little dots and that little stripe there, and I'm going to put my signature right there, peel the tape off around the outside, and we'll see what it looks like. So I'll check back with you in just a little bit after I get it dry. Okay, I think by now you probably should have your painting done. I've got mine all finished up. I did a few things while I had the camera turned off, but they're not anything major. I've done a little bit of splattering, as you can see right in through here. Little phthalo blue splatters here, little transparent pyrrole orange splatters up there. I removed the whiteout, or the, not whiteout, the masking fluid that was on there, so that makes the highlights stand out a little bit more. Oh, I see I did not get this taken off here. So let me do that before your very eyes. You can see how that line brightens up right there. And I'm probably going to have to take a little bit of paint and knock that down. That's too bright. Let me do this right here real quick. I just don't want it jumping out at you. So knock it down a little, but there we go. Okay, so that'll dry and have a nice effect in there. Let's see what anything else I did. I did come in and intensify the darks in here just a little bit. Everybody's picture is going to be different, so you'll have to do that to whatever degree, whatever level your painting needs. So I'm kind of happy with how it turned out. Let me pull back a little bit here so you can kind of see what we've got, and I'll bring this over, and you can see they match up, I think, pretty close. It's not always my goal. Actually, my goal is to make the painting better than make the painting better than the photo. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But anyway, I'm kind of happy with what I got. The last thing I would point out here is by taking the tape off around the outside, you can see how it gives it that already a framed look, a very finished look. You can see how my background appears much darker than it was when I had the tape on there. It's because the tape is dark and the tape gets paint on it and all that. So it just gives you a much better perspective, makes the subject matter look so much better. So there you go. Paint you a couple marbles. The photo for this will be attached to where you can use it and pull it off the Facebook page. So anyway, hope you enjoy it, and make sure you post what you paint so I can see it, okay? We'll see you. Bye.